Hi everyone, Ellie Morris here, and I am very excited to be introducing this special interview episode of Hell or High Rollers. Myself and Dave sat down with the wonderful actor, voice actor, and dungeon master Harry McEntire to talk all things D&D and about his new show, Dungeons and DropIns, which is a live D&D show which is coming to London's West End this September. So do check that out and please enjoy our wonderful chat. Amazing.
Hello, my name is Dave Hearn.
I'm Ellie Morris.
Harry, introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Harry McEntire. Hello, how lovely to be here. Thank you for having me.
So nice to have you here in our little studio.
Yeah, we're absolutely thrilled to have you. Now, we're thrilled to have you for several reasons. One, because you're about to launch a new show, and two, because you already have a show, which is already amazing. So we're going to talk about all of those things.
Great.
As well, a little bit about yourself as well. You know, we can boost all of our egos here.
Please.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about your show that's coming to the West End.
So it's funny because it's all kind of moving really fast in a very exciting way. We have a show called Dungeons and Drop-Ins, and it'll be at the Adelphi on the 16th of September this year, the year of our Lord 2025.
Absolutely.
And essentially, it's a kind of one-shot D&D show. We'll be using D&D rules in which we have guests from the world of not D&D, and then we have players from the world of D&D in this country. And then there's a kind of an additional little spicy twist, which is the audience are going to be part of that storytelling. So I don't want to kind of give we kind of got to play our cards close to our chest until we...
Yeah.
We've come to the wrong place. This is hard-hitting journalism.
Yeah, that's very true. And you're Paxmaning me, and it's really... But we're kind of... So this is a soft launch. We're soft launching.
Yeah.
With essentially what we think, and... You're in the D&D world, right?
Yes.
You're in many worlds, but you're in the D&D world as much as you're in your other marvellous strings to your bow. I'm a big believer that we care more about stories that we have agency in.
Yeah.
And,
Totally agree.
And I we'll talk about this at some point, I'm sure. But like my pathway into kind of doing what I'm doing now is I was a sort of stage and screen actor for a long time, and then kind of started moving into video games. And as a performer in video games, you then get a sense of the culture that surrounds those games. And what you realize is that the depth of feeling that people have for video game characters is huge, because they have agency in the ways in which those characters interact with the world around them.
So
And your version of, let's take Geralt of Rivia from The Witcher, your version of Geralt, or your version of Link, or your version of whoever you choose as your protagonist, they are brilliant and rubbish in all the ways that you as a player are brilliant and rubbish.
Yeah.
And therefore their successes feel like your successes and their failures feel like your failures in a real tangible way. And I didn't really understand that until I started working in that world. And in addition, when you extrapolate that even further and you get into the TTRPG world, Dungeons and Dragons or Daggerheart or whatever system you're using, you're not just part of that story, you kind of are that story. And so the power of that kind of storytelling is that your audience, I always say, like, I've watched Lord of the Rings dozens and dozens of times. I can't stop them going into Moria. Spoilers for Fellowship for the first time.
You've absolutely fucked that.
The pass of Caradhras is impassable. But, I can't stop them going into Moria. I can't get in the way of the arrows that kill Boromir. I'm going to just steer clear of the Two Towers and Return of the King, because I daren't.
Yeah, you really mustn't.
It's a discrystalline thing that once shot can never be repaired. But whereas when you then take control of a character and you feel like you have agency in that world, the stories that you tell feel like yours. And they feel, in the myriad ways that they can diverge and be strange and unusual and not what you planned, either as a dungeon master or as a player, they feel like the only version of that could ever have existed. And so what we want to do, this is a very long-winded way of saying, what we want to do is try and create a feeling of that in our audience. So there will be a fifth player at the table.
Oh, I'm already so excited.
Yeah.
And the fifth player, through the prism of me, is the audience. So the audience at the beginning of the show will help me create a character.
Nice.
We will we will pick a species, we will pick a class, we will come up with some kind of quirks for that character. And then I will role play that character, given the strange limitations that the Adelphi will, the audience at the Adelphi will give me. But when the time comes to start rolling for that character, I'm not in control of those roles. the audience will be rolling for me. We're figuring out exactly technically how we're going to handle that, but essentially, it could be your role sat in that row over there. It could be your role that gets selected, and then the audience as a collective, not just have a seat at the table, but have real stakes in the adventure and can change the path of it. So that's the idea for the show. That's the thing that we're really stoked about, because, as you know, D&D is amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a huge. It's something that I think people are only just waking up to how brilliant it is.
Truly, everything you're saying, I completely understand. Like, I did not play D&D before we started this podcast, really. I'd done a couple of sessions, but found it a little bit embarrassing. Like, couldn't quite get into it in a way that I think finding a good character really helps.
Yeah.
But, like, I feel that same way, like how involved the audience is, even for our show, like on our Discord, and like helping us like choose character names or like write little songs to go in, like, or just like pick anything. It's like they are so connected to where the story has gone, like so intrinsically, and it is the most rewarding thing. And then you just have this amazing connection, and you have this world that both, like, anyone who listens, we can go to that world at any time and exist there. And it's it is I'm so passionate about it.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Good. No, me too.
At the end of the series, we had. I won't give any spoilers for you
Because it's 37 eps. Is that
it's
correct?
Oh no, it's
52.
now
52.
50.
Sorry.
52, yeah, 52 eps.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but at the end, basically, there's essentially a trial. Wanted to do like a courtroom drama.
Yeah.
And I wanted to involve all of the basically I weaponized the Discord against the players.
And sometimes you have to.
And
You must,
literally,
and it's
it
the
was
best,
the
and
most
thank you.
insane thing. Yeah, like they turned up.
Or not actually.
And were like, they
I
made
got pretty frustrated.
spreadsheets and all kinds of just mad stuff
Yeah.
to like get involved in the story. And then it just helped me so much tie, because when you're 50 odd hours in, there's so much sprawling narrative.
100%.
But they just did all the work for me.
Yeah,
and then tied it all back in.
And
it's amazing.
We have similar things. We have people on so the show that I'm part of is called Natural Six.
Yes, we should have said that. Sorry,
No,
yeah. Harry
yeah.
also runs a D&D campaign himself. It's called Natural Six. I mean, you just said that, but then I said it louder and to the camera.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I sort of keep looking at my own monitor rather than down the lens, so I'm sort of slightly above, because I'm
doing that too.
yeah.
It's hard to.
But I think
so
from this
difficult.
distance, it should be fine.
will be absolutely fun. And in fact, I didn't mention it.
You didn't.
I didn't mention it. That's insane that we're even talking about it now.
Yeah.
I didn't bring it up.
Well, here we are. But let's get back to your podcast. When did you start? Tell us about what that is.
So Natural Six is I got a message on Twitter from a voice actor called Ben Starr, who plays Clive Rosfield in Final Fantasy 16, and he said, "Hey, me and these 4 other people, which is Holly Bennett, Aoife Wilson, Alex Jordan, and Doug Cockle, who worked in games either as on-camera kind of journalists or in as voice actors or in production in games. They've worked there for a long time. We want to play some D&D," and it was suggested to us by some friends at Oxventure, which are another amazing D&D show, that you might be a person who could DM a game for us, just a home game. We just want to be kind of chill about it. Are you up for that? And I said, yeah, of course I am, absolutely. So we agreed to meet up in a pub, and I turned up because I'm a little nerd with a map.
You prepped.
And,
You prepped.
yeah, and a sort of master document which had sort of fragments of ancient, forgotten religious texts, and here's the world. And do you want to play in this world? And I don't really drink. Doug wasn't there, so there were 4 of them who were drinking, and I think they had 5 or 6 bottles of rosé. And then they went, "We should make this a show." And I'm sober as a judge. Went, "Yeah, fine."
Oh wait, so they just wanted to play.
They just
for fun.
wanted to play.
Oh,
Yeah.
And
That's
then
so
that evening,
sweet.
we were like, "We should play." We went, "Okay." And then we all messaged Doug, like, "Hey, Doug, welcome to the group. By the way, this is now a show."
Yeah. You're in and you have no choice.
Yeah. And then we launched a Kickstarter, and we launched Kickstarter, and I think we made about our target was 40. I think we made just over 50 grand on our Kickstarter, which allowed us to make 10 episodes.
Oh, incredible.
And then we worked with this fantastic studio called Double Jump, and they've really helped us, a lot, because it's real expensive making a show we have minis, and we have music, and we have artwork, and we have a title sequence. Because as soon as we realized we were going to ask for money, it's then really beholden on you to make something that
you've gotta
justifies the level of
deliver.
commitment people have
Yeah.
taken a chance on you speculatively.
Yeah.
We shot a session 0 where the characters meet to kind of launch with the Kickstarter, which was like an hour and a half. But really, that was the only D&D people had ever seen us play, and we were kind of saying,
Oh wow.
you know, trust us.
Yeah. Had the other people played D&D?
So Aoife Wilson is a very experienced D&D player, probably played more than me.
Mm-hmm.
I've been playing since 2018, and this conversation was happening in early 2023.
Oh, nice.
So I've been playing for about 5 years.
How did you get into it?
I got into it through listening to a show called Not Another D&D Podcast, which is some people who actually have now gone on to be in Dimension 20, but this was kind of pre-Dimension 20. And really, to get ever so real about the whole thing, I didn't realize I had depression and got diagnosed, went to the doctor, and they were like, I think you've got depression.
Wow.
And a real key part of my recovery from that and being much happier was D&D. And I'd found this very silly, very funny show that I had maybe 25 episodes that I could work through before I caught up with reality. And it was kind of all I wanted to do. And I was listening to this, and things were quite kind of rough mentally for me. And I was in a period of transition in my career. I'd been like I said, a theatre and TV actor, and I was very lucky. I did this lovely TV show called The Last Kingdom, which is like a Netflixy horsey swordy thing. It's great. And I had just finished on that after 3 years. Spoilers. And you're this kind of feeling kind of directionless and kind of rudderless. And also I've been working as an actor since I was 17. I was 28, and you're going, I don't really know
where's this going.
What is this? Am I doing things because I like them, or am I doing things because I've done them? And how lucky to be in a creative industry and solvent and able to have that, that kind of slightly self-indulgent sort of mental miasma going on. But I started listening to this show, and I realized it was kind of all I wanted to do. And then I said to my wife, my girlfriend at the time, and a couple of my friends, I think I really need this. Can you play some D&D with me? Oh. And they said yes. So they turned up at at our flat, and we played some D&D, and it was a really big part of me getting well. A really big part of me getting well. Also therapy and medication. Yeah. But it was a really big part of me getting well.
That's amazing.
And so I just feel very strongly about the kind of the power of it. I know it sounds so trite.
No, I mean, I think you're talking to the right people, because truly I've had that whole journey over the past 2.5 years. It means so much to me, and it is it's so kind of creatively fulfilling as well.
Yes.
Yeah. We have an improv background, so that was a real fun side of it, just to get to improvise. But building stories as well is it's everything.
Totally. And I think that, so I DM. I've always really DM'd, and acting as a career is often, I think there's this illusion that it's a career, but that's about creation, and more often it's about interpretation, right? It's about dancing someone else's steps to someone else's music.
Yeah.
Staged for someone else's space. And by the time that creativity, kind of that trickle-down creative economy gets to you, there is a very finite area in which you can kind of go, and this bit's mine.
Yeah.
And whenever I tried to be broadly creative, if I'd wanted to write a play or write a novel or write poetry, I got really into battle rap for a while, but thank God I never actually appeared. But I would always be haunted by two things. One, the quality of work I've been fortunate enough to work on. When you read particularly for theatre, you read a great play, it just has a feel on the page, and you go, God, I just know that's good from within a page and a half. And when you start trying to write something, you have to submit yourself to the idea that what you write probably ain't going to be that good at first, and you have to go through that process. But my pride wouldn't allow me to do that. And then the other thing was just this idea of perfectionism. And when you're a DM and you've written a session or a world, you have to open yourself up to the fact that is going to be
We're
creatively.
going to fuck with it.
We're fucked with.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know about that, don't you?
But that's the kind. For me, that was the really.
That caused my depression.
See, there we go. There's some is triggered. But for me, that was the really powerful thing about it. Was I would make something that was a gift for my table, and it was something for them to enjoy. And if it went, quotes, perfectly, that meant they wouldn't have had any agency within it. So I have to create something and then let it be messed with. So it's a creative collaboration where, yes, I'm nominally in control, but you're more sort of raising sails and turning the tiller, but not affecting the direction of the wind.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah, it's a hard balance, isn't it?
Yeah, but within it, there's like a real release because suddenly I can't write the perfect session. I just have to.
Yeah, you
I just
don't
have to
have to.
give you something.
It's very true. I
Yeah.
definitely, like, when I first started doing it, because I wanted Henry Shields to run it, because the idea of DMing, I was like, no,
Yeah.
I'm never doing that. And then I started doing it, and the amount of work that you have to put in is like kind of outrageous.
It's
really.
staggering, yeah.
Yeah. And then I started watching loads of videos and stuff of different DMs and like advice on like how to do it and how to run sessions. And the stuff that started resonating with me was the people who were saying, like, oh, you're creating a kind of playground for people to play in.
Did you watch any Matt Colville?
Yes, I did.
That's who
yeah.
I watched the most, and he says, if your players had fun, then you had fun.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
And
And they're sort of like, and they're kind of helping you build this thing. But then also what it meant was that I wasn't afraid to, when we were running sessions, you know, if they were going to go down path A or path B, that I wasn't afraid to be like, guys, I've set up kind of a cool thing down path B, so I'd really like it if you did that. But also you don't have to. But then actually these guys were like, okay, okay, Dave's done a thing.
Yeah,
Let's go down path B.
A.
So there's a kind of like meta narrative running there as well.
There is. And it's an interesting thing, you know, to when you look at the show that we have with Natural Six, and we've just recorded episode 33, which means I think we've ticked over the 100 hours of stuff.
Wow.
So so our sessions tend to be between 2.5 and 3.5 hours long.
Yeah, that's interesting. So what do you think your kind of style is? I think for us, obviously we are a podcast, so we don't film, although we want to try and do more of that. But yeah, and we try and keep it to an hour. We record for about an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 45, maybe 2 hours if it's really long, and then cut it down.
Yeah.
But yeah, how does that affect your kind of style of play?
So I was really passionate about us being very lightly edited, if edited at all. Yeah. Because I'm going to toot my own horn and then kick myself in the bollocks. So I'm going to balance.
Wow, I can't wait to see this.
I'm assume the position. So I think I'm a confident world builder, and I'm confident that I can tell a good story, and I'm confident I can role play and improv. Mm-hmm. I'm not great on the rules. I'm trying to get better.
Same here.
I mean,
but I'm not great, and I'm not rules as written, and I am very rule of cool.
Yeah.
And I think at my best I can build some interesting encounters and combats, but I sometimes get a little overwhelmed during those things.
Yeah, it's hard, man.
And then in terms of the experience of our players, Doug had played second edition or advanced D&D back in the, I think this is right, the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holly had never played D&D. Alex had played once, and Ben had never played. And we wanted to create the feeling that we wanted that to be all right.
Yeah.
And I learnt, so to go back to not another D&D podcast, NADPod, they had a player at the table and have a player called Jake Hurwitz. And Jake had never rolled a D20 until he rolled it for their podcast. And they kept in those early eps, him being like, I don't know what that means. Yeah. And actually, that's how I learned to play.
Yeah, that's good.
And we want to be a show that you can go to if you love the idea of D&D, but you don't really know how it works. Because the first 5 to 6 episodes, at least, is me being like, okay, so I'd like you to roll me a perception check. So what that means is I want you to roll this die. Yeah. And we've kept as much of that in as possible. So we're a very...
accessible.
We hope so.
Yeah, well, I think that's actually great.
Our eps are long, our eps are long, but we only release one story episode a fortnight. And then the other fortnight we release something called Action Surge, which is our sort of, we cut the cameras, everyone goes for a wee, and we come back and we immediately talk about how that went.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Because again, that's how I learnt to DM.
Yeah.
Was having a DM go, so Brian Murphy, who is the DM for NADPod, they have it on their Patreon. We didn't think to monetize ours. Stupid.
Come on, get on that.
I know we should have. But, him going, oh, I didn't think you were going to do this. This was what I had planned, and this is what you did, and so these are the adjustments I made on the fly.
So
like, I want to be let behind the curtain a little bit.
Yeah.
And so the show is we had a rule, which was like we were going to have fun at the table, and we were going to be able to be irreverent and silly, but we never ever want to be in a situation where we're too cool for D&D. Yeah. Because I think that shatters it. Like that breaks it. If at any point you're kind of cocking a snook at. Is that a phrase? I feel like it's a phrase.
Never heard of it, but I'm going to go with it.
I inferred
Cocking
from
a snook?
context.
Feels like cocking a snook's a phrase.
Yeah,
Cocking a snook.
if not, you've coined it here.
What is it? What do you think it means?
It means. Thank you for asking.
Is it like-
It means a wry, sardonic eye.
Love it.
Sort of
yeah.
a cynical response.
Yeah, and a sort of like a slightly more aggressive than a head pat.
Oh
Well
yeah.
done, you.
Yeah.
Is it cocking a snook?
Cocking a snook,
Yeah, nice.
It's a well-known phrase
It's
down
in
our way.
cocking a snook.
But we never wanted to be cooler than the game, and so we have very silly things that happen. But actually, we're really, really focused on trying to tell a proper story.
Yeah.
A story which has real stakes in a world that is responding. I want the world to respond to everything the characters do, and I want them to feel like everything they do matters. So that's my sort of driving force, and also to let them be heroes, right? I want them to win every time, only just.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't
Can't be
want.
too easy.
I'm not trying to kill my players. I'm trying to give them stuff that is right on the ragged edge of their ability. And if we can hit that moment where it looks like it could all go wrong, and then someone, either the dice favor you or someone does something brilliant. That's the exciting moment.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Walking into a room full of things with AC of 8 and 6 HP is not fun.
Yeah.
But when you get to, when players have gone down and come back up and someone's rolling death saves. Also, we roll death saves behind the DM screen, so no one other than the player knows if they're dying or not.
Oh,
So I
that's a
stole
fun
that
one.
from someone else. I can't remember who it was, but it
Ooh.
means that. Because, you say roll me a death save and you go, oh, a 19. And
Yeah.
everyone around the table's like, great, we've got at least
Yeah,
2 more
yeah.
rounds.
Yeah.
Whereas if you don't know what that person's rolled, the impetus to get them up
Yeah,
is
that's
really
good.
important.
That's a nice way to keep
yeah.
the fights
Spread it
alive
with credit.
with tension.
feel free.
Yeah. Oh,
Stand
thank
up,
you.
definitely
Steal it
stand up.
wholesale.
That's really good.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's the kind of show we're trying to be. We're trying to be an accessible, really story-driven show which feels like, hopefully, a home game. That you go,
Yeah.
they're not so good at this.
Mm.
They're not so slick that I can't imagine doing a version of that myself.
So how do
Yeah.
you? So which way are you kind of going with? So that is like natural 6. You have more kind of time in the room, and you can record and put them out at your leisure.
Yeah.
With a live theatre show.
Yeah.
How long have you got? Like hour and a half, 2 hours?
I think we're going to have... It's a great question. I'm looking across
Looking
to
to
my
the
off-camera producer.
It's 2.5.
Oh, that's
Oh.
nice. Yeah.
So we've done live shows as Natural 6. We've done 90-minute shows and we've done 2-hour shows. And we did a 2-hour show at MCM in May just gone. And that's 2 to 2.5 hours is really nice.
Yeah.
Because there's time for people to do stuff and do silly stuff.
Mhm.
And ultimately you can allow for that, and other things can be malleable depending on how much time you have left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The idea for this, and again, I'm sort of soft launching the whole show here.
Oh my God, we're so honoured. This is thrilling.
Yeah, is that what we want to do? Is we don't want to do a series of unconnected one shots where
Right.
nothing matters and we're in different settings all the time. The idea is that we have a world in which something extraordinarily bad has happened, and the forces of evil have won.
Mm-hmm.
And our players are part, and it's a time called the King's Winter. And our players are this part of this group called the Many, who are essentially sort of resistance fighters, freedom fighters
fighter
trying
story.
to...
Yeah.
And so, because from a narrative point of view, that feeling of something building towards something while also being hermetically sealed enough that you don't need to have seen all the story up to that point
Yeah.
is a very kind of specific needle to thread. But what we're trying to do it with this, that that we're building towards something that feels like it might matter, and therefore, we hope that this show is the first of many, that you can come along and you can feel like you as an audience are moving through to a place of kind of understanding. But the fact that we have 4 new people sat at the table every time is totally understandable, because this is a different area of the world we're working in. Maybe these people have been told that they need to steal this thing. Maybe these people have been told that they need to assassinate this person. Maybe these people have been told they need to disrupt this this ritual, this council meeting. Council meeting is so
Is
maybe
very
this
good
person
ritual.
been told there are too many parking tickets. And we need to find a way.
Yeah, get more and more mundane every time.
There's a bin strike. We've seen it happen. We've seen it happen.
There's issues with sanitation in this
I'm
world.
just like I'm the welfare state DM. I'm just like the Philip Larkin of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, don't expect epic stories.
No, it's real. It's like
Every day.
It's like if Ken Loach and John Osborne just really fucking loved elves. But you know, we're going to try and have that feeling that you're moving towards something, and therefore the show can have it. We don't need to follow. We don't need to get tied to a sort of, from my point of view, like a self-important epic tale that we're telling.
Yeah.
But we can have a framework that makes it feel like these things are mattering a little bit.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's what we're going to try and do.
How many shows are you doing?
So at the moment we have the one booked, and essentially it's kind of proof of concept. You know, like
amazing.
This is as much as anything like. We're really delighted. We've got Russell Kane and Daniel Sloss doing our first show.
Yes.
That's
which
very
is so
cool.
cool.
Yeah,
and,
it's very cool.
And you know, and if you're reasonably D&D literate or very D&D literate and reasonably Critical Role literate, you know, Daniel opened for Critical Role, and he's spoken in interviews about how much of a D&D player he is and how much of a big fan of that world he is. And it turns out Russell is exactly the same, which is
Oh, I was going to ask because I saw Daniel, so we went to the Critical Role, their thing,
did you?
recently. Yeah, was it the O2?
Yeah, it was at
Actually,
Wembley.
No, you weren't there. It was Wembley.
Yeah.
Did you go?
No, my friends. We have friends who were there. I want to come back to that because this is kind of part of the point. But yeah.
But no, it was great to see Daniel play. He had a lovely little cameo.
It's such a short cameo.
I know it was so
brilliant.
short, but it was so good.
Amazing.
He's very fun.
Essentially, he nat 20'd on something. And then nat 1'd twice and was dead for it.
And literally died.
and just left the stage.
Yeah,
but,
it was amazing.
So we want, you know, there are people who we think would be really wonderful to be part of this in later iterations of it.
Yeah.
And so we just wanted to get great people so that we can go look at, because so many people don't know even really what D&D is yet. Yeah. And I think there's this feeling of, you know, what will I have to do? You know, how will
it seems intimidating to people who maybe haven't played or even like aren't actors, because obviously probably a lot of our friends are actors, but then a lot of our listeners aren't.
Yes.
And they're like, how do I get into a game and who do I
break it down? It is like, because I did it with a friend of ours, Harry. We did a trial podcast about him trying to slay mythical beasts, and so the idea was that we were going to set up. One person was going to set up who the mythical and what the mythical beast was and the story behind it. And then we would build Harry's character. He's just a sort of bumbly posh man.
And he's never played
and
D&D
he's never played
and
it.
has no
and
idea what
watching
it
him
is.
try and slay a Medusa was very, very funny.
Yeah.
But literally, I was just like, okay, take that dice, roll this thing, look at that. And actually, once you broke it down, we ended up leaving it in the episode, I think, where he just sort of went, oh, okay, yeah. It's quite easy, isn't it? You've just got to add.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And then
you do.
But also, even he, as a very confident guy, was kind of reticent. He was like, okay, so am I allowed to do this? Can I do this? And I was just like, just say whatever you want, and then we'll figure it out.
Matt Mercer has this famous phrase where he says, you can certainly try, right?
Yeah,
When I do this, you can certainly try. And to me, like, the exciting thing about playing, I really love playing with new players. What's really exciting about new players is you can see them almost like, you know, with a blindfold on, trying to find the limits of the space. If I press this, is this going to break? And your job as a DM, I think, as much as possible, is to go, no, it can bend, and I will make it bend as much as. Like, if you want to try a cool thing, if you want to do that, if that's your version of heroism, your version of fun, your version of storytelling, then let's do everything we can to enable every possible version of it. Yeah. And then the moment when you see people go, oh wow, so I can do that. You go, yeah, you can do that. It might not work, but you can. We'll find out. We'll find out together.
That's so fun. So, will the first time that you have played with Daniel Sloss and Russell will be the
on
game?
Stage.
It will be on stage.
Ooh.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah, and
that's very exciting.
And then, you know, in addition to those two, we haven't announced who it is yet, but we have two amazing people from the D&D space in this country, and it's like,
I'm excited.
Yeah,
it's not us.
It's not us.
Sorry.
It's not you yet.
Maybe
but like, first.
But see,
we'll do the bin episode.
That'll
be us.
Yeah, the bin
counsellors.
The bin for you.
Shotgun.
Yeah, good. But like, so you know, I'm doing Natural Six because in 2021 I was at MCM thanks to being in the Last Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to my guy who looks after my convention appearances, look, all I really want to do is play D&D at a convention. And he laughed, and I went, I'm serious. And he said, I know. And Oxventure, which if anyone doesn't know, is like an amazing D&D show with the gang from outside Xbox who were brilliant video game journalists who then played D&D something like as a 1 million subscribers special on YouTube. And now they are in their second campaign, and their first campaign had like 190 episodes. And
Yikes!
Wow,
that's amazing.
And they're brilliant.
Yeah.
And they're not. And I don't mean this in a pejorative sense. I mean this in a really good way. They're not actors and performers first. They are just like people who enjoy playing the game and are figuring it out. And their Dungeon Master Johnny is incredible. And they were appearing at MCM, and one of them couldn't make it. So they said, "Do you want to play?"
Oh.
And I said yes. And I had the best time. I played a Tabaxi sorcerer called, I can't remember. It was named, I didn't have a name for him, Aubrey. And then a cat came into my porch that I decided was called Aubrey, and so panicked and said, well, I'll just play that. and however many years later, they're at a party with Ben, and he was saying, I need someone to DM. And they said, well, you should ask Harry. He seemed really nice.
Amazing.
They were just unilaterally kind.
So
yeah,
and
truly.
I was then afterwards I'd been in a game called Xenoblade Chronicles, which was this game on the Nintendo Switch, and they helped me set up how to be on Twitch. Like, they all met me in a pub and taught me through, like, I'm so not technically minded. They were drawing pictures of cables and where things would go.
Oh my gosh, I need that.
Oh my god. But
that's amazing.
What we've been met by, not just from the British scene, but from the American D&D world, when we launched as Natural Six, was a sort of a level of just like kindness and camaraderie and comradeship that was entirely unnecessary for them to provide for us.
Yeah.
And I am really excited, as much as I'm excited by the guests that we can have and people that we're talking about having on in later shows. I am really, really excited about like having, you know, you guys on and having people from Oxventure and having people from Three Black Halflings, you know, because what a great time it is to be doing this.
Truly, we had that experience. We went to America. Well, this was 2023 now, but
you had Sam.
We met.
Right?
We met. So what was the connection? So someone from maybe Critical Role was like a fan of Erika Ishii.
Oh yeah, Erika. Yeah, I don't know Erika, but she's very good friends with a couple of the Natural Six guys.
Yeah, so she was a Mischief fan. Or there was someone in that world knew the show.
Yeah.
And then it just they just came and we got introduced to them, and then we had Erika on as a guest. And then then they all started like coming to see the show, and then like they were kind enough to Sam Riegel guested on the show as well. We had Darren DePaul, who is an incredible voice actor. And there's in a way that's really lovely. There's no reason for them to do that.
But
that was the thing. It was
just
like
altruism.
Yeah.
Because they love the game and they want to celebrate people who are
just
also
playing around.
Game.
Yeah,
it did feel like, why you want to be on art?
Yeah, exactly.
And it was in like the apartment.
I know it was.
It was like,
sorry about the sound quality.
And, like
everyone.
There was no. Because we just kind of got into a place where we were just, like you say, it was just the kind of great leveler where it's just like everyone's kind of just playing.
But like having that response when we did the show in LA. So we did Peter Pan Goes Wrong in 2023 for anyone who doesn't know the context of this. And we were on Broadway and then went to LA for a month. But like how many people we met in like the space of a month who were in that world and like just so kind and it is just like, wow, this is a great place to be.
And then add to it, right? You know,
Yeah.
that I just think I don't understand the mentality. I don't understand gatekeeping. I just don't get it. And I was saying to you just off mic, off content.
Yeah.
That
we did meet
very, very
Before
briefly.
We had a brief
recorded,
meeting.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why you wouldn't just. I've never been in a situation ever when Zach, the producer, and I started first talking about this show. Zach said, I think we should have people from, D&D players in it. And I said, could I maybe help pick them? And he was like, yeah, you just say. And I don't know. I don't want to make myself out as some kind of, part in the Red Sea and leading people into a promised land.
Yeah.
But like, I've never really had the opportunity to do something like that before. And there are so many great people.
Yeah.
And people have been unilaterally kind to me. So now to have a chance to be like, do you want to do something?
I'm on the show.
Cool?
Yeah.
And there's so many great people. There's so many great people.
Yeah.
Like, friends of mine who have got smaller shows who are amazing, who are brilliant improvisers and comedians or just brilliant performers, and it's just very exciting. When we have a thing in Natural Six called the Deck of Many Friends, and it was originally started as a kind of high level Kickstarter backer, kind of speculatively, if it was like, if I don't know, if someone wanted to give us this, and essentially it's this deck of cards in which to trap the souls of fallen adventurers in the world of the game. And no one really knows what it is, but one of the characters has this whispering deck of cards and he's too frightened to use it. And in times of dire need, so someone goes down or something dreadful happens, the players can call on the Deck of Many Friends and they draw a card at random, and that card has a character on it and a number out of 20.
That's
and
cool.
Each person who was in that deck designed a character and rolled a d20, and that result is recorded, and you swap the roll that was just made at the table with the roll on there. And we had some people do it through Kickstarter, and we had a load of slots left to fill because it's based on this real magic item called the Deck of Many Friends, which you may have used. And there were 23 cards. And I was like, I can make up however many NPCs. And then we went, why don't we just ask cool people?
That's such a great idea.
Yeah,
Matt
really
Mercer
Have you used it a lot? No,
Yeah,
he
Matt
didn't.
Mercer did one for us.
Oh my gosh.
And I met Matt
so
over
fun.
Zoom, and we designed a character together for like 45 minutes.
That's
And he
so great.
It doesn't help him.
No.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and we have brilliant people. We have all of Oxventure did it. We had voice actors like Neil Newbon
Wow.
and Samantha Bayard and Troy Baker did it for us.
Amazing.
And we have Matt, we have Anjali Bhimani, and we have Robbie Damon, who's part of Critical Role. You know, we just
so
had like
cool.
and everyone said yes.
Yeah.
And it was so speculative.
Yeah.
And to me, that is just like indicative of what this scene is.
Just the whole vibe of it.
It
It's
is.
so
It's
open.
it's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
lovely.
Well, if I open my phone now, I got 5 D&D podcasts in there, and I'm going to have 6.
And you're gonna have 6. Yeah.
But I'm not going. And I've been following you guys on social. Despite the fact I haven't watched an episode, I've been following you guys on social media because I was like, these guys are fun. These guys
Yeah.
are funny. Because you doing really well is just great for everyone, right?
It's
It's great for you.
Yeah.
It's great for the
Yeah.
I don't understand why we wouldn't celebrate everyone doing everything.
Definitely.
So-
I think that's the big thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is the celebration of like, if there is another podcast or another thing or another show that comes out, you're just like, yeah, great.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I
No,
can't
it's
wait
so
to
good
see
to
it,
have
to
you
listen to it.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
it's
everyone,
amazing.
get down to the Adelphi Theatre
Yes.
on
Yeah.
the 16th of September.
Yes, well done. 16th of September, Daniel Sloss, Russell Kane, me, and 2 brilliant D&D people who we will be announcing very soon.
And we'll be in the audience. 'Cause
We'll be there.
I'm now
Do
booking
that.
tickets.
We'll be there.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am free and available
Yeah.
to be in the audience.
Very,
Yeah.
very good.
Thank you for listening, everyone. A good night.
Thank you.